Alrighty. So now we need to get back to subspace. If we want to turn in our contract.
Captain, I wish to offer my commendations for convincing the UDL's gunship to leave HRS-1084. I did not favor the idea of being stripped and sold for parts.
Yeah, shockingly, dying is bad. Shit's crazy. More or less done there. Can't... Typhon. Toggle inactive quests. Oh, hey. Just shows you where all of your quests currently are. That's kind of neat. Terra 2 is also where Byzantium is. Yep. They're pretty... Typhon. Icy Planetoid. Are they adding DLC? I'm trying to remember what Typhon is now. I do remember that once upon a time, every single planet wasn't here. There was like empty ones. Yeah. Eridanos and Typhon. Anyway, a lot of the places currently available. We've finished this point. Let's get to the groundbreaker. Some of these areas could...
The groundbreaker has approved our request for docking, Captain. You're free to disembark.
Some of these could be late game zones. And some of them could be DLC. I don't know if they plan DLC for this game. I don't know. Lots of names to keep track of. I just remember at some point there being a bunch of empty nodes on the hologram. I don't necessarily remember when they were filled in. Only that they are now. What's the most distressing poster? It's so unnerving watching them strip tumors off that creature while it smiles. Can you load? You doing alright? There you go. Terror on the frontier. A mysterious stranger threatens our way of life. The destruction of Emerald Vale. So like, there's now actually propaganda poster about my behaviors. Which, I think that's relatively new. Don't know if it was patched in or if that's just when the news cycle is designed to catch up with my actions from earlier in the game. Because the moment I brokered peace between the two factions on Monarch, there was instantly a poster about that too.
Finally, a base of our own. Soon we'll have eyes on every corner of the system. Well done, Captain.
The base had scientists and suspension tanks. Some might still be alive.
I heard about that. While my lawyers scratch their heads wondering how we deal with human salvage, I'm leaving the researchers in hibernation. Aside from the automated security, did you meet any resistance at the station?
A UDL gunship buzzed by the station, but I convinced them to back off.
I knew it. They've been shadowing us since Monarch, maybe even longer. I've been less than honest with you. Your assignments weren't strictly about the salvage business. You might have figured that out already.
Is this about your cloak and dagger warnings?
That's right. Up until now, I've kept you in the dark for your protection, and more importantly, mine. But I'd like to think we've earned each other's trust. After the Monarch job, I started connecting the dots. I didn't like the picture. Then what we found at Station 1084 confirmed my fears. You and I have stumbled onto something big, something none of us were meant to know.
Interesting of you to assume that you've earned my attention, but my trust by lying to me. Bad news, I take it.
Maybe the worst. Ask yourself, Why a skeleton crew was studying that Alta Vitae gas in secret. Ask yourself why stockpiles were hidden on a planet full of monsters.
I'm guessing you have an idea.
Before we go any further, I want you to keep an open mind. Can you do that for me, Captain?
This had better be good.
Aliens. I'm talking about aliens. They're the ones responsible for the deaths at 1084, and who knows what else. We have to put a stop to it.
Aliens.
I'm saying it's aliens. I'm not asking you to like it. I'm not even asking you to believe it. But I need to act on this threat to the colony, and I can't do it alone.
Captain, in my humble assessment, Ms. Hagen is insane.
This doesn't feel at all right, Captain.
The crew is skeptical. That's good. I don't want you walking into the unknown with blindfolds on. I assume you have questions?
A few.
If we're gonna see this through, I'll need your trust and commitment. Now's the time for setting doubts aside.
When you say aliens, what are we talking about here?
Conspiracy. One carried out with the help of human collaborators, assuming they haven't all been replaced. This is an invasion of our very cells. That damned gas is mixing our nucleon with Halcyon biology to twist us, change us, make us more like those monsters on Monarch.
I haven't seen any evidence of aliens.
No kidding. That's how they want it. When I lined up the evidence in my spreadsheet, there was only one possible conclusion looking back at me. This is my data talking, not my anxiety or lack of sleep.
How do you know I'm not an alien spy on a mission to silence you?
Sharing my findings took a calculated risk. If you were a spy, I doubt you'd even realize it. Only your cells would know.
Well, that's comforting.
Probably nothing to worry about, as long as you don't start growing tentacles or slowing down time.
Oh, that's a thing I can do. Enough. Tell me what needs to be done.
Dr. Chartrand is the crooked psychopath behind the gas experiments. She sold out her species, and I need you to put a bullet through her skull.
Ah, Chartrand's a woman, so it's not the same person that was doing the experiments that ended up killing themselves. Okay. Why does Dr. Chartrand need to die?
She's a research scientist and a damn good one. Before UDL poached her, she engineered a 0.2% increase in cystipig juiciness. Now she's doing the same thing with humanity. Her fingerprints were all over Station 1084. You saw what she did to her team.
When did Sublight get so principled?
It's cute that you'd think that about me. I just want to add savior of humanity to my resume. I've got ambitions outside of this office, you know. Besides, this way Sublight gets first dibs on alien salvage.
The labs I passed through didn't seem that evil.
Do you usually come across innocent people trapped in suspension tanks? Because some of us would call that excessive. Remember, the tanks were just the shit she left behind. Just imagine the experiments she carted off to her next lab.
Like they're getting infected by one by something. And they were trying to stop it, it seems. Why would she leave the tanks behind as evidence in the first place for several years? watched or anything? If it was evidence of an alien invasion? Where does Chartrand fit into your alien conspiracy theory?
We're far beyond theories. Chartrand's logs, the gas, the suspension tanks. How much proof do you need? Wake up, Captain. An invasion needs collaborators working from the shadows. She has access to the board, unlimited funds, and a colony full of sheep.
How much proof do you need? I'd start with any proof. Sounds messy, but I'll take the job.
This keycard will get you through the front door of her Byzantium estate. Don't ask how I got it. You might not like the answer. By now, the other side knows what you're doing. Don't trust anything Chartrand says. She's compromised down to the bone. Maybe even deeper than that.
Alright, well this will be entertaining. I don't really believe her. But I'm very curious about where they're going with this. Acquire the science weapon on the groundbreaker. Oh, it actually gives me a waypoint.
You didn't seem too much like traveling with us before you met that hermit fellow.
Yes, I was kind of an ass, wasn't I?
I wouldn't say that. You were more of an... well, I'm just glad you're not like that anymore.
Oh, I'm still an ass, just someone who knows he is. It's quite amusing, the ridiculous things that go through my head.
Just like the rest of us, then. You're all right, Mr. Vicar.
Okay. He apparently had a character development moment where he started behaving differently. Unfortunately, due to like the really modular design of party members in this kind of game, they have so few interactions that I have to just kind of take their word for it to some extent. I don't think I had a lot of like evidence of him behaving differently necessarily. But it was a moment for him. So I don't underestimate the quest having an impact on him. It's just I haven't had really any chance to see him be a changed man or whatever. In general, it can be a really mixed bag how well games like these handle their party members and giving them enough screen time and so on to make them really feel like fully fleshed out characters. Can you just, like, not look over here? Thank you. Alright, well that was less than I was hoping for. Ah. It's a completely unrelated... Ow. It's a completely unrelated location. They're not attached in any real way. In that node, at least.
How are you feeling, Mr. Vicar? After your, hallucinations?
Fantastic. But it must be said that the sensation of myself as a separate mind inside a bag of skin was the real hallucination.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. It's quite liberating to realize that one is simply an aperture through which the universe experiences itself, and that all my pain and suffering was of my own creation.
So if Felix snuck into your quarters one night and stole half your underwear and filled the other half with itching powder, you'd kindly thank the universe and take it in stride? Not that I'm asking for any particular reason.
Huh. Oh no, he's insufferable now. He's transitioned into this state of being beyond himself. The true illusion all along was the idea that I was ever an individual to begin with. Ooh, Parvati.
This is Halcyon News. We interrupt regularly scheduled advertisement
I remember this place from much earlier.
Do you have what it takes to defend your corporate township from the dangers of alien wildlife and the unemployed?
This is evidently where this item's been hiding this entire time, which I might not even use. But yeah, I remember discovering this place early on and then being like, huh, I'm not supposed to be here. And being a tad concerned about that. Outlaw squad leader.
Well, well, well. What fine treasures might await us in here?
Oh. And here this whole time I thought they were employees. Stevedores and whatnot, and I felt all bad for sneaking in here.
As a work of sheer universal beauty.
I don't think I saw the name the first time around, so I thought that I was wandering in on like just workers on the station that were going to be attacking me for being out of lines. Whoops. Aberrant interference. Log 1, discovery. While rummaging through the back base, I discovered a very old hammersmith crate that seemed to have been sealed for a very long time. A bit of elbow grease and determination pried it open, but I couldn't make heads or tails of my discovery. A prototype hammer. I didn't know Hammersmith actually made hammers, but I've brought it to my lab for a closer look. How strangely it glows. The trail of its wake lingers, even when my eyes are closed. Log 2. Mystery. I've spent even more time on the hammer. Its internal workings are state-of-the-art. Thermal, electrical, and chemical systems all working in harmony. How is this even possible? The weapon is a breakthrough in circuitry and engineering, and many of its systems appear rigged against tampering. There's a curious energy signature swirling around the weapon, though I have yet to identify the source. The air tastes of copper, and I have lost several teeth. Wow. Just casually introducing that fact. Doesn't seem to actually bother them that much. Log 3, troubles. As opposed to mystery being the troubles. You know, the part where the teeth were coming out. I have had the most sublime, prismatic dream since I invited the hammer into my bedchamber. What are you doing with that hammer? Never mind that for now. Good news first. The energy signature matches Blondiot's elusive N-rays, raising the hammer's elemental properties to 4. Shock, plasma, corrosion, and radiation. Now for the bad. In attempts to neuter the self-destruct functionality, I inadvertently caused a small fire. The hammer's manual controls may never function again. Swinging it seems to be the only way of cycling through its elemental modes. I must take great care with future experiments. Huh. So it's called the prismatic hammer because it attacks with all the different elements, which is usually what it means when you call something prismatic in a RPG and it's a weapon. Usually means it changes elements or has every element at once. It sounds like this hammer goes shock, plasma, corrosion, radiation, then loops back around every time you hit an enemy with it, basically. Log 4, annihilation. I've taken the liberty of locking myself in the workshop. My tinkerings were all for naught. This is no prototype. I am simply too flawed to recognize its perfections. The hammer is a lesson, a symbol. It whispers to me that disorder rules all things. But with a little ambition, we can harness that power. Only by inflicting chaos upon others can we transmute disorder into harmony. And that is a lesson Halcyon is not ready to hear. Oh. Getting a little golem-y over here. The gloop gun, assault rifle, mind control array. Science weapons are absurd. Hammersmith was working on a hammer weapon the Pulse Hammer, when its rival company, Aramid Ballistics, stole the plans, rushed its development and beat them to market. All the while ridiculing Hammersmith with a marketing campaign about them having no hammers in their weapon line. Hammersmith executives demanded the ultimate hammer to be produced, but this prototype was so expensive that it never entered production. So there was a weapon builder that was actually called Hammersmith that didn't have a hammer in their lineup, and just to be dicks, their rivals stole their first hammer prototype and rushed their copy of it to market just so they could further mock them for not having a hammer. A little prismatic hammer. Oh, yep. Green. We fire. That's probably N-ray. And electrical. It keeps changing setting every time you swing it. You can even see the trail continually changing color. What a ridiculous weapon. What a ridiculous weapon. How do you do? We're gonna carefully and quietly get our asses back out of here now. Good thing he's an idiot, or that could have been bad. Do 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 do. How the fuck do you get back out? Alright, fine, you all get to die. I almost gave you a chance. Well, how do you get back out? Like a shitty one-way path that no human would ever be blocked by, but video game humans, they're fucked. You can't jump over it. You can't crouch jump in this game like in Halo. You genuinely have to like find a door, I guess. Ah. Damn it. I almost did it. Oh, that was silly. I guess we'll take a look around. Were you guys scrapping other people's ships or something? It's nice of the game to just overtly label you as being outlaws with my magic mind control abilities, where I can read minds and just know, ah, these people, I don't have to feel bad about killing them for some reason. The game goes to great lengths to humanize the systems at play and to see these corruptions and these like incentive systems and like the influences of capitalism and so on, and make you feel bad about all the individual people involved that are like victims of the system itself and so on. But then it kind of like fucks with that whole message by then having you walk out into combat zones where a bunch of humans are labeled as being conveniently disposable characters you can kill with no real moral knockback. And it's like,
might I ask how you are faring, Ms. Holcomb?
I'm not winded. Honest. My, boot was untied.
You don't need to keep up appearances. You're among friends. We would never leave you behind.
It's just a bit weird. Feels like a hangover from it being based on Fallout, and in Fallout there was tons of human enemies because they were like the enemy raiders and whatnot. But Fallout wasn't necessarily about like the systems at play and whether or not you should feel good or bad for people, or whether or not you should be trying to make a positive change in the world around you, and not in quite that way. Like, they were deranged, hilariously warped out of reasonableness, like psychopath raiders, like of the kinds you would see in like Mad Max or Borderlands or something. And so like you don't really question like the flamethrower cannibal cults and stuff like that as being people we have to worry that much about. It's like, oh, just gotta defend myself. Well, like, you go to, like, the first area, Emerald Vale, and the game seems to go to great lengths to make you feel bad for anyone who gets exiled from this horrible city.
Crew report. Bioka is drunk. Surprise.
And yet, even when you side against Emerald Vale, you still kill way more of their victims than you do people in Emerald Vale. Like, you go around and you just slaughter waves and waves of these people that were the people that Emerald Vale kicked out for not playing by their rules. And even though you agree, you think that their rules are bad, their systems are bad, you still end up killing those people all the same.
Nest detected. Dispensing vomit bags. Preparing bodily waste. Collection receptacle.
Gross.
Battery levels are fully charged.
Good work, Sam. You can go sleep on her bed. Yeah, I didn't think there was any follow-up to be had there. But she still liked this.
Good to see you, boss.
It's obviously not a deal breaker because it's just like how video games generally are handled in general. But it's just one of those moments where you're like, One of those things where people would repeatedly poke at this word.
Now I like watching you.
And people would always bring up like Ludonarrative dissonance. It's like, well, there is an aspect of that. Just when you're playing a game and you're like, I don't know. Part of me feels like there's some kind of like gap between what I'm doing and what I'm saying. One that's kind of unavoidable. Obviously, it's justified in universe as being self-defense because these guys all come running at you and shooting you, and there's no other option. But like, you'll remember that early on, when I was approaching these bandit groups out in the wilderness, I was feeling bad about shooting first because it's a stealth system. So like, you have an advantage that's given to you for to shoot first, but I was like, what if I could talk to these people? As far as I can tell, you can't. The only time I think it backfired was that I shot that one robot that was in like a scrapyard somewhere that apparently could have talked to, but I shot him because, you know, he looks like all the other enemies and there's no way to distinguish them. Which is its own thing, is that it's one thing if you're used to being able to talk to everyone, like in Disco Elysium, but if almost everyone is some kind of generic guy, like it's some sort of generic guy that just attacks you, and there's hordes of them everywhere, I question the idea of making like NPC versions of generic guy who actually will talk to you, but there's no way of knowing that in advance usually, or at least not unless you're like really keeping like hawkishly keeping an eye out about every little detail, like, oh, the name's slightly different or whatever. Like, if the game puts you in a repetitive loop of attacking a particular enemy over and over again, and then one of them's randomly an NPC that'll talk to you and has a fleshed out backstory and narrative, but, you know, there's no damage blocker to stop you from just shooting them immediately, and there's no way to easily tell that they're not going to just be another enemy, then I don't know, I feel like you can't blame the player for just shooting them when you're like just telling them repeatedly not to question the fact that they're shooting all these random people all the time. This came up in Dark Souls 2 in the infamous Dark Souls 3 in that like infamous section of my playthrough where I killed multiple NPCs in this one zone, but like those NPCs, one of them was just a copy of an enemy I'd been fighting throughout the entire zone, but this one's passive and talks to you, and the other one was somebody who actually had been attacking me, so you'd reasonably want to go defend yourself against that guy and go take him out, but apparently you can go talk to him and he's an NPC and there's a whole quest line for each of them and stuff, and it's like, well then why'd you make one of them attack me and one of them be a copy of NPCs that are all around? And that similarly goes for that robot of like, I've been fighting these robots all over the place, why would I think, oh, this one's friendly, I should talk to it instead of attacking it? This game has the additional element that Dark Souls doesn't necessarily have, at least not all the time, which is that this game has stealth. which means that you're extra incentivized to not announce your presence, hide, and then like shoot people in the head while you're in stealth for like bonus damage, like in Oblivion and whatnot, which extra encourages you to not like approach people because then you lose your advantage. I got some mixed feelings about those kinds of systems and games. I think everything's now pointing me at Byzantium. Yeah. We're gonna go on a shopping trip.
We are now in orbit above Byzantium, Captain.
Can we talk? Since we're in Byzantium, there's something I've been meaning to do.
What's that?
I haven't actually talked to my folks in a while. Shocking, right? Anyway, it's probably about time I paid them a visit. Given the dangerous life I lead, they've got to be worried sick.
Funny, you don't strike me as the type who keeps in touch.
Which brings us to where we are today. Several messages and a few years late. See, I'm originally from Byzantium, born and raised. I know that probably comes as a big surprise.
Actually, I can see it.
But I worked so hard. I dropped the accent, picked up a swagger, developed a taste for Spacer's Choice.
That's the problem. You try a little too hard.
Huh. Well, I bet they won't know the difference. I bet they'll barely recognize me.
I don't see why you can't go see them when it's convenient.
Oh, well, I was thinking you'd come too?
What? Why would you want me to meet your parents?
Because it would be fun.
Level with me, Elly. What's this really about? Am I about to roleplay being your significant other? He's like, ah, look, Mom and Dad, I'm married to a spaceship captain.
Well, they know me as Marilyn the surgeon. They don't know Elly the pirate sawbones. But you're authentic rabble. True riffraff. When they see you, they'll get it.
This is a whole angle that I kind of didn't see coming, but kind of should have seen coming. Because, like, Elly gives off big, like, Chloe from Life is Strange, like, yeah, you understand me, Dad, like, intentional rebellion vibes. Like, she has to announce to everyone how rebellious she is and to explain all this to her, and it's like there's a real try-hard aspect to it all. So I guess it makes sense that she's from, like, a prim and proper family that's well-to-do and is, like, making an intentional choice to, like, escape into this other identity. So you want to show off your plebeian friend off to your fancy parents. Real mature.
Come on, I didn't leave home and become a pirate because I enjoy making responsible decisions.
She's like a less parody version of that person on at Emerald Vale who wanted to run away and join the Raiders and actually weirdly succeeded at doing so. It's not gonna get weird, is it?
Of course not. I mean, not unless you want to bring a feral canid or a mantis on a leash. That'd make a real impression.
That would be difficult. Okay, we'll go.
Great. And when we get there, draw out your rough edges a bit. If you've got an outfit you haven't washed in a while, maybe one with some blood stains, wear that one.
I'll take care of dressing myself, thanks.
You're the boss. Anything else?
I feel like I need to intentionally ruin her plans by being like a proper classy starship captain or something now. You have something to say about chasing down dimethyl sulfoxide?
I sure hope you negotiated for a raise with this Phineas guy.
Why do you say that?
Ever notice how this job gets bigger and more dangerous every time he calls in? He's asking a lot, Captain. Makes me wonder what your angle is.
Phineas is trying to do good for the colony, and I want to help. Weird, I'm just going along, he's paying, or I owe him one. None of these are like, none of the, like this, even this one just says the good of the colony, meaning the entirety of the game we can be in, like the map. None of these options reflect the idea of like, I mean, they're the people from my ship. Like I have a bond to some of these people. I'm trying to remember what it was now, but I think I made a direct dialogue choice earlier in the game that reflected the idea that one of the other people on the ship is like my family, like either I have a kid or a wife or a sister or something like that in the well, Andromeda sort of way. Phineas is trying to do good for the colony and I want to help.
I knew a doctor like him once. He had a patient complaining of ankle pain, so he amputated the man's foot. Wasn't even the right one. Point is, good intentions don't count for shit. And nothing's more dangerous than a crusader with a cause. Besides, none of this is your mess, so why go dirtying your hands with it?
It is my mess. I just, like, for the reason I just was about to say. But, kind of also like a bad faith comparison. Like, I guess the idea is that good intentions completely alone in a vacuum and like in a logically presented situation don't account for shit, but it doesn't really make sense to have this outcome where like, oh, his foot hurts, so I amputated the wrong foot. What? That's a completely nonsensical action that doesn't really equate to most human behaviors. Also, this is definitely bothering me how this is clipping through here. I've been staring at it for most of this conversation. If Halcyon goes down, we all do. I'll do what I can to fix it. Once again, no dialogue choice that reflects just caring about the people on the Hope.
Guess I hadn't looked at it that way. Still, Phineas isn't your only option. The board's put a bounty on his head, and they've got more than enough bits to pay it. I've got no love for the corporations, but they know how to take care of their people. The ones at the top, anyway.
The board's corrupt.
Everyone is. The board just pays the best. I know you want to save the day, but don't forget to look after yourself. No one else out here's going to.
You're wrong about that.
Hey, I'm not trying to piss on your bonfire. But you ought to hear this from someone, and it might as well be an ally with a financial interest in your well-being. Anything else?
A financial interest in my well-being. Except you can run home to mommy and daddy if things get too rough. That's the situation here, isn't it? You're like this game's Jesse Pinkman to some extent. You're here to disappoint your parents, partly on purpose. Jesse Pinkman, Chloe, all that. Her willingness to potentially work with the board is heavily colored by the revelation that she's from Byzantium, which, by the way, didn't know you could be from Byzantium until just this now in this conversation. I thought the whole point of Byzantium is that's where like well-to-do people that have like pleased the board and so on get to like go retire, and because it was framed like a retirement place, like an end-of-life place almost. That's like one of the ultimate goals. The idea that you can just be born there from the get-go speaks to a level of privilege that I literally didn't know existed in this universe besides just being a member of the board itself. Is the idea that you can literally just be born at the place that everyone in this colony is apparently working to get the right to die in. This heavily colors Elly as a character in a lot of ways. I was about to talk about how like the quests have sort of made the choice for me of which characters to bring. It's going to be Elly and Parvati because they both have a quest to do here. But that's also like a huge contrast between two characters. You have one person that lived under what Emerald Vale, lived under the world of Emerald Vale and Spacer's Choice and all these false promises of the ability of upwards mobility and stuff like that. Then you have somebody who was born at the top and is kind of like a tourist of suffering. What can you tell me about Byzantium?
It's like one of those stuffy art gallery pieces. Looks okay from far off, but once you get close, you realize it's just some mismatched shit everyone's agreed to overpay for. Even the bribes are overpriced.
Why did you leave?
The real question is, why didn't I leave sooner? There's all these invisible rules, and everyone spends all their energy just trying not to break them.
I think that's called society.
Call it what you want, it sucks. I was a top-tier surgeon, but I could hardly open a pack of gauze without 10 people signing off first.
So you had to deal with red tape. What of it?
That's no way to live. People call Byzantium the jewel of Halcyon, but really, it's just paste. Everything's polished and bureaucracy. Take a close look and you'll see it's deader than anywhere else in the colony.
It's really easy to say from the inside of it. You don't have to live on Monarch. I need the lay of the land. Anything I should know?
Don't trust anyone, don't touch anything, and whatever you do, don't show your teeth when you smile.
Is this one of those established dominance things?
What, like primals? Nah. People are extremely competitive about cosmetic dentistry. It can get ugly.
Like filing them into points? Must have been interesting growing up there.
Interesting like a colonoscopy. I trained as a surgeon. More my folks' idea than mine, but I made the best of it.
Spare me. Your parents nudged you into a lucrative job where you could help people.
Hey, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Didn't help that most of my actual work was tightening calves and firming up chins. Turns out Byzantines are more concerned with having square shoulders and a good profile than, well, anything else.
Enough about Byzantium.
That's what I've been saying.
I think we should part ways. Glow it. It's the option's just glowing there, reminding you that you could get rid of her at any moment. How did I oh, there you go. These toggles are relatively unsubtle. I mean, relatively subtle, like trying to spot the little dots. I don't know. I find myself reflexively thinking that this whole thing would work better if you just never had anyone selected and you just picked two and took them. But it's probably because that's how Mass Effect worked, and so that's my muscle memory. That's my default approach to this kind of interface, which it looks exactly like the one for Mass Effect. Now that they're blowing any minds with a screen where everyone's lined up left to right and you click on them, the two do you want to take? I almost made the mistake of saying, wow, our first new planet in a while. And I remembered we're actually back on the planet we started on. It's just a different part of the planet we've been on 2 or 3 times now. Anything in here? Nope. Oops.
Still tinkering with that?
It's not gonna fix itself.
Don't we have repair drones for that kind of thing?
This was a repair drone.
Yeah? Who watches the watchman? Who repairs the repair drones? Preferably other repair drones, I guess. That's the trick. Oh, Carmen Imagawa.
Do you mind? I'm meeting someone.
Yeah. Yeah, Phineas sent me.
Shh. No names, okay? The Phoenix is a wanted man, and the board has eyes everywhere in Byzantium.
The Phoenix?
Yeah. That's my codename for... you know, our mutual friend.
It starts with the same letters as his real name and is about the same length. Maybe pick something more subtle. What's your code name?
Oh. I'm Golden Eagle.
More birds. That won't get confusing. Do I have a code name?
Yeah. I named you Cuckoo.
They really are all birds. I think I just got called a cuck. Seriously?
It makes sense if you think about it, because I didn't know who you were, and old Earth cuckoos would routinely trick other birds into feeding them.
Whatever, just give me the information I came for.
Oh, can I be chicken? Because chickens will adopt any critter's baby and keep them warm.
You sure you don't want to be Raven or Sparrowhawk?
Aw.
Okay. Chicken it is.
Does this mean I'm supposed to have one too? Fine, but make it a really good one.
Let's go with Rufus Hummingbird.
Forget it. Codenames are for amateurs anyway.
Too late. I've already marked it off. Can't just go reassigning codenames. Anyway, you're looking to make contact with Minister... Magpie, right? I should warn you, it won't be easy. He spends most of his time in his estate, which is heavily guarded.
Even you're getting confused by your names. How many ministers are there to even mix up with each other? Seems like calling them a minister is a mistake. Or is Magpie supposed to be a replacement for minister? And not the name Clark. How exactly did you get involved in all this anyway?
I've always been fascinated by birds. If you ever research Earth species, there are thousands of them, so colorful and distinct.
Here we got 11 flavors of terror rays and not much else. That kind of variety? I mean, gosh, seems almost impossible.
The other thing about birds, though, is their environmental indicators.
Huh. Yeah, you gotta think about how everyone in this story is talking about birds in the abstract because nobody's really seen them, except maybe me. I was probably sent here from Earth in stasis, so I guess I know what birds are. But none of these people actually have seen one. But they all know about them, apparently. When they die off, it's a sign something's wrong.
Exactly.
Canary.
I started thinking about everything we see around Halcyon, and all the things we don't see.
Like what?
For starters, you rarely come across anyone living in Byzantium who wasn't born here, even though we get ships in all the time.
Trust me, anyone with a lick of sense gets out of here as soon as possible.
But most people don't. In fact, most people stay exactly where they start. Doesn't that seem strange to you?
It does, except for the part where it's exactly what I expect. It's because the promise of upwards mobility is largely a lie to placate people.
And then there's the way nothing gets fixed. There used to be a suggestion box around here. People would drop ideas in. Nothing ever came of them, of course.
That seems pretty normal, actually.
Sure, that part is. That's why they install shredders in those boxes, after all. But one day the shredder broke. No one came to fix it. And since it wasn't working, we didn't have anywhere to file our complaints. So you can imagine how messy things got.
I bet your repair folks couldn't find parts. Back in Edgewater, I'd have to take something apart just to put another thing back together.
Might have been the paperwork. Here, You have to append forms to your forms, and law help you if there's a single dash out of place.
A regular tragedy.
At first, management put up an out-of-order sign, but that just seemed to worry people, like they were advertising something wasn't working. They eventually took the whole suggestion box sign down so that people didn't have any expectations about it. But they never fixed it, never replaced it. Doesn't that seem odd to you?
No, that's how things go around Halcyon, in case you didn't notice.
Except that's not how they go. At least that's not how they're supposed to go in Byzantium. The whole episode made me wonder, if they can't fix something as simple as a suggestion box, what else aren't they fixing? After a while, I got connected with our mutual friend and started using my position here to feed him information when I could. That's it, really.
There's got to be a way to catch the minister someplace less protected.
Afraid not. He almost never leaves his home, and his guards never leave him.
Can't say I blame him. It's scary out of doors. I mean, can you even count how many times we've been shot at?
What work specialists, huh? Our mutual friend is really branching out.
Can't you get me into the minister's estate?
Whoa, I'm not one of your B&E specialists. I just provide intelligence.
Okay. So what can you tell me?
Some of the guards hang around Billingsley's House of Inebriation between shifts.
That place is still open? I used to study there during medical school.
Maybe you could do some reconnaissance there. You know, swipe a key while nobody's looking.
Thanks for the tip.
Just remember, you didn't hear it from me.
Why would I randomly tell anyone that anyway? Looks like I've got work to do.
Good luck, Cuckoo.
Cuckoo. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. The suggestion box just had a paper shredder built directly into it, but then the paper shredder broke. So this suggestion box kept getting filled up with all the ignored suggestions. What a disaster. I love that that's the failure point, is that the shredder broke. Not that the suggestions weren't being filled to begin with. That's just normal.
Got nimble fingers, Captain.
Yep. Gotta get that occasional XP. And between episodes, merchants maintaining to do.
Need, you know?
More of you standing in my light?
Repair drone that repairs itself. Like an auto repair drone.
Yes. Yes, you do. Also, standing in your light. In what universe? Like, what if we repaired? Alright, well, this is not a great first sign for this place. But hey, there's a neon path pointing you where to go. Whoa. Look at this place. Retirees.
It feels like I've been waiting in line forever.
Can you believe I'm retiring? Lucky me.
Oh, are they going to be Soylent Green or something?
All my hard work's finally paid off.
Okay, if you're waiting in line to retire, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing right now?
Can you believe I'm retiring? Lucky me.
So what if all those MSI suits made it on Monarch this whole time? I could do it. Easy.
I wonder if I'll get to meet Chairman Rockwell.
What happens to the retirees? I was thinking that they just don't actually retire people. They just constantly promise the idea of getting to Byzantium and give you the impression that it happens. But these seem like I don't think these are people from Byzantium, because that's not really the point of the retiring program. So I think these are people from elsewhere throughout Halcyon that think they're about to retire, which makes this way more insidious in a more direct manner. Yeah, they're old. Almost all of them are old. Is this where all the old people have been this whole time? Because there's been like a lack of old people throughout everything. Run away. You've got cool hair. Don't let them get you.
It feels like I've been waiting in line forever.
Yeah, your whole life has been a process of waiting in this line, essentially. This is the conveyor. I think they're sort of greeting people. I think they just throw all the olds in a fire.
Nothing exciting ever happens around here.
I doubt that.
Move along.
We're definitely gonna find out they're doing something nasty, these people. Because yeah, now we know that the retirees are here. I can see them, but for some reason you don't see them in the colony, even though moving to the colony is the point. Everyone in this colony apparently was born here. That means they're doing something to them. Maybe the retirees are the cysty pigs.